Okay, replacement vlog for the little 2-minute vlog. Yeah, somehow, on my computer, I ended up copying over today's 2 minutes and tomorrow's 2 minutes, the files. So they got killed. Today's was going to be on fairness. I really don't remember what I said in 2 minutes on that subject. But I might as well do 20 minutes, since we got all these issues around this idea of fairness and how we treat each other and how we do this communicating thing and all of that crap. So I might as well address some of this stuff. Yeah, it's my style again. This is always an issue, my style of argumentation. And I love when people, Steve Morphine called it ad hominem. And, but he doesn't, there's the unfairness seems to be in the idea that we don't sit there and apply the same scrutiny to the opposing argument, the argument I'm arguing against. The video, what was the name of her video? It was it wasn't even a very creative use of ad hominem. Oh, come on, where is it? Talking out the butt. That was the title of her video, Talking Out the Butt. It's not ad hominem. And then she basically said that, my side of the argument needs to get informed, before it expresses an opinion. And she made the statement clear that we're just talking out of our asses when we talk about the dynamics that the economic system has been based on, the idiotic presumptions. So I'll just bring up one of them, because I think, Steve, you actually mentioned this in your video, and I let it slide, but I think you used that floating all boats analogy. This is one of those Reaganisms, the great communicator. You see, he was a great communicator. But what defines a great communicator? I would argue a great line of bullshit. All right, because if you start taking the communication apart, you start taking its structure apart, it's all made out of crap. Okay, as was the voodoo economic theory. But this idea of floating all boats, you can't do it. Okay, the physics doesn't allow that to happen, because what are the boats floating on? They're floating on human productivity. All right, and the only way you can raise the tide of human productivity is you have to extract it out of somebody. Okay, so some worker's boat has to fucking sink. All right, that's the only way the tide rises, is you got to sink some workers down and force more productivity out of them. You got to, push them closer to slavery. The most productive worker possible, and that's the only way it works. There's no tide. Okay, there's no all boats. That doesn't happen in the real world. But that's the kind of bullshit jargon that gets sold to people through great communicators. And so, yeah, maybe I should just be a bullshitter. Maybe I should just come up with some little bullshit-isms of, floating all the boats and all this other crap. Yeah, no. Then people are just living a lie. Then people are just living the jargon. And people want this simplistic view of the world. They want to somehow make the complex simple. And you know it. You still hear people talking about us flying through the galaxy and living on other planets and all of this other mishmash. And you're quite aware of the physics and the fact that it ain't going to happen. We'll send a camera into space, but we ain't going to send one of us in there. Out there, it's just there's no practicality to it. It's just daydreaming. It's just mush. But look at what it generates. It generates huge waste in how we spend our resources based on people having these, unicorn notions of reality and thinking they're qualified. Everybody's qualified to express an opinion. But then when you force them to defend that nonsense, no, you ad hominem me. You forced me to argue. No, I can't argue. Come on. My video was not, I could have been a lot more brutal. Look, I'm just not going to make apologies. This is who I am, all right? If it was a practicality for me to, radically change how I respond to bullshit, then I would have already done it. But the fact is, this isn't my preference. I've made 1,300 videos on YouTube, and if you go back through those videos, The first few hundred were just discussions about real serious philosophical subjects and a nice, respectful interaction with other people. And then jackasses had to start getting into the mix, making false accusations and throwing the ad hominem bombs. And your choice is to let it sit there and blow your argument up, or you'll defend what you have a right to defend. And there's no quick way to start when you start getting into a credibility war, or a war where you have to defend your person, not your ideas, but your person. It's impossible. So then you've got to just the only option you got is to deflect the mud, or in an essence, and throw some of it back. It's the only practical way. Because it does so much damage. I mean, it doesn't, the Hitler mustache works. It does work as an argument. You buffoon somebody and it works. You call somebody a sociopath and it works. Because it just, you can make things fit the simplistic image. But that's not the reality, and it's not fair. And but whatever. Like I said, I'm not promoting myself as the great communicator. I'm not promoting myself as the guy who should be the messenger. All right, maybe I shouldn't be the face of this thing. I'm about the ideas and the argument and the logic. And I just happen to be stuck in this role because no one else is doing the communicating thing. No one else is being a very good messenger. Some people make a few videos, little isolated shots that they take in a common whatever manner, and so I'm not saying that's not effective, but it's a minority of people. And you're part of this too. You got to understand is the reason why the world is the way it is because we allow this ignorant majority to go stomping around doing its stupid things without even doing the simplest thing of just saying, no, that's stupid, and this is why it's stupid. So I think that's got to be done. Whatever. I didn't mean to say Tom, I meant Tim, the crash dummy guy. He can't, it's incompatible. He can't have conversation in this atmosphere, and whatever. I can't suit it to you, and personally, I don't see, like I said, you're just speaking from, in my opinion, gross hypocrisy. Because you're quite capable of saying your little ad hominems, and maybe you say them quietly, and maybe you say it, I've made this argument before, maybe you use 12 words to throw your mud ball instead of 6 words or 2 words, but it's the same fucking mud. And this pretense that it's something else, it's just bullshit. You people are full of ad hominem. You're just full of it. And then you have the hypocrisy to boot. Whatever. I mean, the little shots I take, in my opinion, are just little shots, and they're just reactions to what's given. You get back what you give, and I'm just saying that if you look at the videos I'm responding to, they gave plenty of bullshit, and they got some bullshit back in their face, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Could I have made a completely, structured my personality out of the argument and just said, okay, don't react to it as if you're reacting to something that's completely idiotic. I mean, it's like you're saying it's a rhinoceros, but just pretend it's a kangaroo. Okay, so interact with it like it was a kangaroo instead of an obnoxious rhinoceros. And I suppose I could do that. And I suppose I'll take your I'll take your critique seriously enough to say, or I'll have enough respect for it to say, okay, I can try to do that, and we'll see. All right? I mean, we're all in this thing, we're all evolving some. Personality, I can afford to make that evolve. I'm not going to structure a philosophy to suit people. The philosophy basically, yes, I fundamentally believe human beings are assholes, okay, at the core. We're fucking gorillas with, some clothes and some accoutrements, but that's it. We're not really all that civilized. And there's just so much pretense in this whole fucking discussion. So just getting to Tim, though, he brought up the subject of determinism, which is an interesting one in this context also. Because, what I am is, it's programming, okay? We're programmed by our environment, by the input we receive, by the information we receive throughout our lives, and we just play out the script that's written. We're just players. We're just actors here, in a way, just victims of the circumstance. And it's all deterministic, but it doesn't make any difference. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that we think we're making choices. I mean, we think it. We see it happening inside our brain. We're watching the choices happen. But every mechanism that's making the choice, okay, is a fixed entity. It's a known quantum. It's not magic dust. It's not ether. It's hardwired programming. It's images stored in our heads. It's our memories. It's our experience expressing itself, and that makes the choices. But there's no us in here anywhere. We're just a bunch of software and hardware, and we're just running through the cycles and playing out our part. Even the most enlightened moment will be there's no real eureka. It was inevitable. So every change we make is a change that we were going to make, because that's what the circumstances were leading us to. That was the potential set up by our history and our exposure and our disposition. So maybe I can get some enlightenment, enough critique comes in, and I will wind that critique through my brain and say, okay, what can I weed out of my personality? How can I moderate myself to suit these individual needs for what they have defined as ad hominem, or fair response, or maggot doesn't equal communist is here and maggots over here, and these aren't equal words, and so I don't have whatever. I mean, but this really is this really is just having an argument about something as ludicrous as a food preference. People don't like my personality because maybe it's okay. It's not what they're familiar with, and it's not what works. I mean, we see the tripe the media feeds the human race. Why does it feed it that? Because that's what it's hungry for. All right, now I don't feel bad that I'm not very appetizing, okay? Because what the human race is eating is shit, okay? So if I'm not appetizing, I almost have to feel good about myself and say I must be doing something right. I mean, if I'm making them sick to their stomach, I'm probably doing the right thing, because they're poo eaters. I mean, they'll eat shit. They'll eat complete nonsense. They'll buy it, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, it really is 1984 doublespeak. We've been in 1984 for about 5 decades, and bullshit rules. And so I almost, it's hard for me to sit there and contrive an excuse to find fault with myself for being repulsive to a human society as stupid as ours. I mean, it only validates my intelligence that the idiots would reject it. I mean, isn't that completely predictable? Isn't that the way it should be? I mean, people feeding on American Idol, I mean, they probably should find me uninteresting and unentertaining and uncompelling, because what moves them is a shiny shoe. So whatever, we'll just see where it ends up. We'll see where it all ends up. It's all playing out, and how all this crap ends is how it ends. But I think it is a pussy argument to be making that somehow communication can't take place. Don't throw the shit and you won't get the shit back. I mean, it's not that complex. All right, I mean, go find the circumstance where it wasn't somebody's excessive rhetoric that got me throwing back some excessive rhetoric. All right, because if that doesn't exist, if I'm responding to somebody who's civil in how they're making the argument, they'll get a civil frickin' response. So, That's at least that's my argumentation for the day. So, sorry about the 2-minute videos. Go on forever. Tragedy. Right. Okay. So, till, 25 minutes from now. Okay, gotta find the off button again.